So if this video seems less organized than my videos usually are, first of all, thank you. That's pretty generous. And second of all, that's because it is. Um, I've been working really hard at something for the last week. I don't really know if I should talk about it yet, but it is like engineering related. Yeah, I've been like burning the midnight oil and working on this. I I want to say like 4-ish hours a day after work. I know people like come out of the gate saying like I worked on this thing like 10 hours a day, but like obviously I have my full time job, and so I've been working on it like 4 hours a day ish at work, or sorry, after work, and then maybe cheating a little bit at work too, just because it's very time sensitive, right? And so yeah, I've been just cranking away. That sounded weird. But my point is, I've been super preoccupied with this goal of mine, and it's super time sensitive, which is my own fault. And yeah, I've just been like going at it really hard, and it's kind of made me think about some things. I believe in this channel. Like the main goal of this channel that I've always thought about is like engineering is generally considered a very technical, very logical thing. But the truth is, when it comes to getting what we want, professionally, emotionally, in terms of like our relationships with our coworkers, accolades and acknowledgement for the work we do, like there's lots of non-technical stuff that goes into it. There's lots. And I think that there's more nerds who don't understand the social aspects, and there are posers who don't understand the technical aspect. And I'm sure there are people who disagree with that. I'm sure there are people who look around and they say, oh my God, everybody's a poser. Nobody actually knows how to do, engineering. But I'm of the other opinion. Like, I think that there are lots of people who can code really well, or who, are really good at math, or whatever the hell, right? And their communication skills are subpar by comparison. And so that's why I made this channel. I believe in that mission, and I still do. And the majority of my content will still be about that aspect of the job. But working really hard at this, this engineering thing, just kind of like sitting at my desk, like coding all day, coding after work, coding at my lunch break, reading, whatever. Like, it's made me wonder, like, what percentage of that mission is just code? Like, maybe the truth is, maybe I'm wrong. Like, maybe for a lot of people, their communication skills or their resume or whatever the hell else is like fine, and they just suck. And then the follow-up question is, am I one of those people, right? And that's a really like harsh question to ask, that I feel like only really comes out when you alter your mental state a little bit. But I've been thinking about that a lot. My father's taught me a lot of things, and about engineering too. It's helped that I had someone who studied computer science and has done kind of like similar things, different but similar. And even like outside of our careers, the thing he always told me to remember if he got hit by a bus was to be honest with yourself. Always. Just no matter what, never lie to yourself. Like, everyone in the world can lie to you except you. And honestly, this week I've been working at this has been a wake-up call. Because I sit here and I try to, solve these problems or accomplish these tasks or things on this thing I'm trying to work on, and it's like on the one hand I feel like, oh, I shouldn't have to do this, like this sucks, like I should just ask ChatGPT to do this or whatever, right? But on the other hand, it's like, why can't you? Like, maybe that's a problem, right? And so I've said things before like, oh, when you're working on a project, try to get to the part that you really care about. Like, don't spend a million hours in the visualizer of a simulation before you get to the, I don't know, algorithms you want to write for your project, or go get like mentorship from the people you work with. Like, there are people who are older than you and more experienced than you, and they can help you, and like a really well posed question can be a huge unlock. Right? Like, I believe all these things. I'm not going back on them now. But every so often, maybe you just gotta look yourself in the mirror and ask if you suck. Like maybe that's the uh, the preventative towards using those other techniques too much, right? And I think lastly for me, I've worked at a lot of amazing places. I try to keep this channel like anonymous, but I feel like at some point I shouldn't. Because this project that I'm talking about, I can't get into as much detail about as I'd like. Some of the places I've worked were real like head turners, and I feel like would add to the story. So in time I'll probably open up more. But anyway, I've worked in some really hard places to work with really smart people. And the thing I always struggled with was autonomy. Like doing things myself. And I kind of would say like, oh, like, I know I'm smart enough to do this, but if I don't leverage the people around me, it will take too long, especially at some of the faster paced places I work. And it's like, I've always seen myself as like a social person who's probably gonna go into management someday, and yeah, I mean, I've always management or even entrepreneurship. I'd love to do that. Like, I've always seen myself as this person, so I never really saw that as an issue. And it's probably not fully an issue, but it begs a question, and I think that's like the point of this video. This very rambly, disorganized video. It's like, ask yourself the question. Like, don't be afraid to look yourself in the mirror and ask, like, should I just be able to do this? Or did that internship just suck ass and teach me nothing? Or are my classes teaching me everything I need to know for the jobs I want? Right? Because if the answer is yes to any of those, or no, depending on, if the answer is positive, that'll be a really quick conversation. If it's not, it'll be a very important conversation that will, that will trump anything I could ever tell you on this channel in terms of importance and like illumination towards getting where you're trying to go. And like one last thing, like I've joined some Discords for different groups, like courses I've bought or companies and projects I'm interested in, whatever, right? And like a lot of them have resume reviews, like resume review channels. And I see people post their resumes. And it's like, I want to nerd out. Like I want to like type on my keyboard, oh, like you could use like the Jake's resume format in LaTeX and like space it this way. And I would change the order of these sections and blah, 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 blah. But like sometimes I look at them, they just suck. Like it's just like crap experience. And I feel bad. I feel powerless. Not that I was powerful to begin with. I'm just some guy on Discord, but like, why are we sitting here reviewing your resume if this is the best work you could put on? Because I want to say, SpaceX is not going to hire you after having one internship experience at Dunder Mifflin Paper Company. Like, I want to say that. But that's, like, harsh. Like, clearly, it's, like, mean. And maybe the person posting it has to have that conversation with themselves. Yeah. And so all this to say, like this week I've pushed myself technically in terms of engineering, like way harder than I've pushed myself in probably over a year. And this whole year I've spent like focused on other areas of my life and building up this channel and thinking about like career development and all this stuff. And it's like, this is a wake up call of like, shit, like I just got to get better. Like maybe it's just a skill issue. I mean, not that there's an issue, but you know what I mean. Yeah, that's the video. I'm the Unhinged Engineer, clearly. I'm living up to my name today.